who started her political career as a campaign manager. And then she was elected to the Democratic Party of Orange County Central Committee. In 2017, she was elected as a regional director for the California Democratic Party, a position that she held until she was elected to be one of the 26 Democratic National Committee members from California, where she is now on the Branding and Messaging Task Force. As important as those official details are, what's more important is that Deborah has been a friend of the club during all that time. We met her when she worked as campaign manager for Anila Ali, who was the then candidate for California Assembly. We voted for her when she became California Region 18 at the time, Region 18 Regional Director for the California Democratic Party. We volunteered with her at regional meetings where she gave us important information that we needed to know about what was going on in the state party, and at pre-endorsement conferences which she chaired. Deborah has also always graciously come to our fundraisers here, to our annual meetings. And she is serving us still by being here tonight to talk to us and to answer your questions. Deborah is eminently qualified to answer these questions because she worked her way up through the party, through the ranks, and she knows everything inside and out. So please join me in welcoming DNC member Deborah Skurnik and friend of the club. Thank you.
Well, first off, I want to thank the Laguna Woods Democratic Club. I have been a member of your club. I have worked on different campaigns, been on the Central Committee, but every step of the way, I always had support from the Laguna Woods Democratic Club, especially Linda Nearing and Sue Deering, who have became friends. And remember, it's the club that are the grassroots activists for our party. You are all the most important part of our party, as far as I'm concerned. So we have a lot of work to do, as you know, but things are going well. So I'm going to give you just a few good positive things, and then we'll get into more of the structure of the DNC. As we know, there's been a lot of lawsuits regarding voter suppression, postal marks, gerrymandering. That's how we got Prop 50. And all of you contribute to the victory of Prop 50, and I want to thank you for that. Whew. It's been a year. What a year. I think for me, I knew it would get bad, but not quite this bad. So what's that old question I think that was asked many years ago? Are you better off than you were a year ago? No. In only 21 days in 2026, we invaded Venezuela, the murder of Renee Nicole Good, and hostilities to our allies. But Democrats now have momentum. Poll numbers are bad for Trump and the GOP. Tariffs, are skyrocketing. We are going to hold Trump and the GOP accountable this year, November, and winning up and down the ballot and flipping the House to cut off the what did I hear today? It's just atrocious, everything that's been happening. But this is one of the most highlighted part of the year is either we have won or overperformed in every election last year and a few this year, 227 to 255. That is nearly 90% of the elections. So Democrats are motivated. Don't ever think that we're not. So last year, I was able to vote for my first DNC chair. And you see here, his name is Ken Martin. He's from Minnesota, deeply committed. They have also had quite a year. From the killing of the state assembly person in Minnesota in August, we were all there, the DNC members, for a DNC meeting, and the last day of the meeting was the tragedy at that elementary school. Now they're being bombarded by ICE and other things going on. But when I called up Ken, or when Ken called me to ask for my vote, as well as the other people that were running, my main question for each of them was, I want somebody who's going to kick ass. We can't keep doing the same old, because it is not working. And I'm happy to say Ken's kicking ass. Okay, next. And here's just a description of the DNC. I know it's confusing, all these initials and so forth, but the DNC has a particular function. We work on the party platform. We support candidates nationwide. We do fundraising and voter outreach. And all this is very, very important. The DNC does not put their hand on any scale for any congressional or Senate candidate. So I know some people sometimes get a little confused with that. And then we have the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. And their function, I think we also call them the DCCC. And their official capacity is to get Democratic members into the House of Representatives. Next is the Democratic Senator Campaign Committee. And so their purpose is, same thing, fundraising, getting people elected, organizing campaign, mobilizing voters, and so forth. This is the new DNC leadership that was voted in last year. I already talked to you about Ken Martin. We also have Renee Walters Morgan. She's the Vice Chair of Civic Engagement and Voter Protection. And we have three of the most fantastic vice chairs. Malcolm Kenyatta from Pennsylvania, Artie Blanco from Nevada, and Chastity Conrad from the state of Washington. She's actually the party chair there. And here's some of the other leadership. I won't go through them, but all of them are as equally as wonderful. Here's just a few pictures of some of the DNC meetings. We held our first one we had our first one in Maryland, and that's when we did the election last year. Then we were fortunate enough to go to Minnesota, and I got to attend the Minnesota State Fair. It was fantastic. It was a really nice experience. Now, within the DNC, we have what are called 4 regional caucuses, obviously. We have the Eastern, the Midwest, and the Southern. We are in the Western, and there's a list of all of the states and Democrats abroad as well. And they actually do show up to our meetings. Last month in December, we held one in Los Angeles, which was really nice and well attended. So to be a member of a DNC caucus is a little different than the state of California. You can join any of the caucuses. But with the DNC, you must share the inherent and I can't even remember, a trait of that. So like I'm on the Women's Caucus. I'm also on the Disability Caucus. They also have all these different councils, which are also very nice to be on as well. I'm the Labor, the Senior, and one other one there. something unique that Ken Martin did that no other DNC member has ever done before. He gave up some of his power. We've all heard about the superdelegates and, all of that. But what Ken did was he gave up at least, I think, 15 of his delegate picks and allowed each one of the caucuses to appoint someone to a standing committee. Think about that. Someone actually gave up some of their power because it was felt, and I think it's still very important, that we make sure that we have a cross section of all of the communities in the country. So I was able to get on through the Disability Caucus, the Resolutions Committee. It was something that I never thought I would really want to do, but I'm learning so much on that committee. The Rules and Bylaws Committee, they're meeting, I think, the end of the month or early next month, and in Puerto Rico. And the reason for that is because they're going to start formalizing the order of the caucuses and the primaries. And apparently, a lot of states want to be in the running for early primaries and caucuses next year. For the first time, I think, in the history of the DNC, California is representing on the DNC. I believe the Western Region Caucus members held almost 31% all DNC standing committees, which is a good way for us to give our voice about what we're concerned with, not just in California, but in the western part of the country. Some more breakdown so you understand why this was such a big deal. Like 5 out of 17 at large. I won't read all that, but it's really impressive that there's so many from the West and California on these different standing committees and caucuses. I think I'll skip that one. We don't need that one. Okay. So I know a lot of you are here because you want to hear more about this. It's DNC decided to hold task force. One is branding and messaging, which I'm on. We have one for technology, one for reforms, and one for meeting and accessibility, which I think is also a very important one. I won't go over, but obviously technology has to do with making sure that social media is up, that they're even working with branding and messaging, and that also, and I'm going to go over it a little bit in a few minutes, about some of the younger people that are on social media that we can start following. Reforms is the same thing, trying to increase opportunities for everyone in the country. Meeting accessibilities, this is something, I'm on the disabilities, and we're talking about things like making sure that people in the disability community are heard and listened to, because I do really feel many times we forget about them, and we just can't do that anymore. This is just a list of all of the people that are on the messaging and task force. And you can see there's 3 from California besides myself. Andrew Latchman, who's supposed to be here anytime. And then Annalisa Swan, who I need to give credit for helping me with this PowerPoint. Branding and messaging task force members, we are working with the DNC senior staff to study media, messaging, landscape to analyze successful tactics and technologies from outside the building. That means out of DC. And make strategy recommendations to improve messaging. And it's something I forgot to mention about Ken Martin. His big message is take the DNC out of DC. He has been to already 36 states in our country, as well as the vice chairs have been to numerous states as well. Malcolm Kenyatta actually came last October and spoke to a group in Laguna Niguel. One of the things I ran on for DNC was the importance of listening to the community. I consider all of you my constituents because I'm representing, there's 2 from Orange County, Atabraceno is the other one, and throughout the state, but we kind of have the most southern end of California. And I think it's important to go out and hear exactly what the voters want and need. And because of that, this is really, believe it or not, an exciting time for grassroots activism. You are also very fortunate that you have the California Democratic Party that supports our candidates, the Democratic Party of Orange County, and again, the local clubs. We couldn't do it without you. So some of the good ideas that are coming up is local listening. It's going to be a 7-week virtual training series that will prepare participants to become trusted, community-rooted organizers. So it will give you skills on how to talk to voters of all different ages. The local listening boot camp takes place on Zoom, and it actually does begin tomorrow. I'll make sure that the PowerPoint is sent out so anyone who's interested can sign up for it. I'm going to sign up for it, I think. We also, alongside the boot camp, are going to launch a listener phone bank. Actually, it started tonight, but there'll be more. The goal is to have meaningful conversations not about what is important to people. We have to listen to what people need. I think, as you know, that was one of the things we didn't hear loud enough in 2024. Also, I think this is very interesting. There's different ways where you'll learn how to engage in conversation. I will talk to anybody anywhere, but I usually kind of do a test to make sure we're on the same wavelength. Like today, I was at my pharmacy, and I said something like, "The country's going to hell." And the woman, she goes, "Oh, you too, huh?" And so then we started talking, and I was telling her a little bit about what's going on. So sometimes if you feel the temperature, don't be afraid to talk to people, because you know what? The majority of us are angry, upset. Yes. So for people here, and that's a way of, it's going to teach you how to engage with people, and there's a little form that they give you if you want to fill it out or not. Share our stories. Last year, I was blessed to have 2 beautiful grandchildren. One born on the 23rd of January. His first birthday's on Friday. And he was born at only 3.3 pounds. And he had a heart condition, and at 6 months had to have open heart surgery. He survived. He's just doing terrific. But that was a very scary time, because I was thinking the whole time, he is on Medicare. A year from now, 2 years from now, what is going to happen to the little Liams and the other children who have cancer and other diseases that receive Medicare? So this kind of made me even more determined to fight for the things that he needs. So all of you, share your stories with people. And I know a lot of you are some of you are on Facebook and other social media. But this is probably one of the most effective ways of getting the word out. You usually can detect my mood by what I post. But it's important to continue to do that. Aha, good news. Well, interesting news. Recently, this is a Gallup poll, and as you see, now 45% of the entire country are no party preference. They don't want to be a Democrat, they don't want to be a Republican. And then split down the middle, 27% Democrats and 27% Republicans. One of the other things the DNC is launching is something, When We Count. DNC, this is to help get young people registered to vote. I won't read all that, but it's just helping you get different ways to get people registered. How many of you have ever registered voters before? It's one of my favorite things to do, because you're actually getting someone, sometimes for the first time, to sign up to vote in an election. And on this slide, it gives information for young people who are interested to take part when we count. They will be training people. It'll be a part-time fellowship for young people and a good way of getting people active within the Democratic Party at a young age. Oh, I was mentioning before social media. I just listed some of the ones that I really like. Dean Withers, he lives in the Denver area, I believe. He's like 21, 22, cute as can be. But he can out-talk any MAGA I've ever heard. He just has this tenacity in him and the knowledge in his head to counter anything they do. Harry Sessions, the same thing. He usually talks more about stories and different things that are breaking and happening in any particular day. One I really adore here is Politics Girl, Lee McGowan. I've had the privilege of hearing her speak a couple of times. She's actually just became a citizen in 2024. She was from Canada. And so she can see things at many different angles that we don't always see. Another great one is the Midas Touch News. They have a number of really good, outstanding reporters. And as we know, with our current media situation, CBS has gone to the dark side. So it's social media and it's the independent journalists out there that are going to keep us informed and keep us going in the right direction. And I already think I spoke about this, but it's the different lawsuits. Let me see if I can. Yeah, just the different lawsuits that we're doing. How many know who Mark Elias is? He's the one that's doing anything regarding gerrymandering and voter, anything. They'll try anything they can to cheat. But don't you find it kind of ironic? Whenever Trump says something that someone's committed fraud or done that, it's because he has done it, right? Yeah, that drives me crazy, Like today, I guess he ranted for 2 hours. What else is new? Okay. Trump's first year, it was a failure. In his head today, he was talking about, did you know gas is $1.99? And that he's taken millions and millions of oil from Venezuela. And I mean, it was like going on all these rants, about everything. We all know he's a failure. But some of the talking points are that you can say to people, we're spending all this money on troops to deploy them to other allies. Why? He's permitted detention of unlawful residents and used violence against American citizens. Again, we saw that tragedy with Renee Nicole Good. He's cut funding from just about everything we hold near and dear. He's gutted Medicaid. And he's leaving millions of people without health insurance, without having the subsidies of the ACA. Even though he urged Texas to get him those 5 seats, I think it's going to backfire on him. Here's just some more of the different things that haven't been going well for Trump. ICE. ICE is the Gestapo. My mother-in-law, my in-laws came to this country from Poland, and they were both in concentration camps. My father-in-law was in Auschwitz. My mother-in-law was in Bergen-Belsen. We think maybe the same time as Anne Frank. So they came here, they became citizens, they did everything. But the stories my mother-in-law told me about police coming and separating families, who was going to go on the train, who was going to stay back and make ammunition for the Nazis, we're experiencing that right now. Don't kid yourself. But we do have momentum. Again, I mentioned the part about how many elections we've either overperformed or won. Look what we did in Miami. Over 30 years, or almost 30 years, we elected a Democrat. Virginia, New Jersey, win after win after win. And that's why they want to do everything they can to stop this election, even this November. Like most of you, I wake up some days and go, oh my God, what did he do today? And it's really easy to get depressed, run down, afraid. So I have my little things that I like to do. Usually weekends I'll kind of stop watching a lot of news or reading about it. As I mentioned, I have 2 beautiful grandkids, so I spend time with them. I read, I garden, and I watch a lot of Hallmark movies. Because, and I've actually had friends to do it, because we all need to have a smile before we go to bed at night after the kind of day we've led. But I think this poem in particular by Maya Angelou, who's my favorite poet, hope and fear cannot occupy the same space at the same time. Invite one to stay. Maya Angelou. Here's my general information, my phone number, my email address. Everybody, I'll make sure everyone gets a copy of that. If you still have more questions, you're still afraid, you need more answers, please reach out. The DNC members I work with, 20 of us were elected, 6 were appointed, are the most incredible Democrats I've ever worked with. We've really become a family. Like Annalisa helped me with my PowerPoint here. We all work together to make life better for all of us. And again, I'm very blessed to be able to say they're my friends. Okay, question. Thank you.
Deborah, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Thank you. We don't have the House, we don't have the Senate, we don't have the White House. Is it our fault? What are we doing wrong? And what I'm thinking of here specifically is the 2024 autopsy report that the DNC ordered and chose not to make public. Can you tell us, are we ever going to see it? Have you seen it? What's it all about?
Great question. That's a great question. What we did about it were the task force, the ones I just mentioned on technology, messaging and branding. These are the task force because, yes, we saw where the mistakes we made. We're not going to lie, we made mistakes. We've all made mistakes. But by having these task force and getting them get them going as soon as possible is what we're going to do to fix the mistakes that we have made.
All right.
I'm
I
sorry?
didn't hear what you said.
Why isn't it shared with everyone?
The chair, which
Well, why
chair?
not share the report?
Oh, wait, oh, well. The only thing that I know about is these task force. If you give me your name and information, I will find out.
All right. Deborah, you said we're all going to kick ass. How do we get Chuck Schumer to step down?
Well, first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my belief on holding on to something too long. I was a regional director for 8 years, but I knew the last time I ran, I wasn't going to run again. And I happened to find a young Dem to replace me, and I worked with him for a year because I feel it's very important we hand off things. You don't hold things forever. And yes, I would like Chuck Schumer to go. Yeah, it's time, you know, but the thing is, it's not just Chuck. It's all these other Democrats and Republicans that are in their late 70s and 80s need to retire too. It's time to bring in fresh, new ideas, and in the House as well.
Okay, you mentioned Ken Martin of the DNC and a program called When We Count. Now, I heard he was going to roll that out in Arizona and Nevada. Will that be rolled out in California as well?
Another good question. I can find out for you. And I think the reasons why we're going there first, because they're more purple states, and we want to make sure we're getting more and more people in registered to vote. And I should share something about what we did last year. I forgot to mention, is the DNC gave all the county committee, all of the state, like the California Democratic Party and so forth, they split up $1 million, and they gave more to red states and then the rest to blue states. And I believe that's what made the difference for our success last year. We invested in the states so we could get good Democrats to run, or to win, excuse me.
Okay. All right, let's talk about election subversion. Everybody seems to be petrified that something's going to happen, especially if California takes too long to count the votes in the midterms. And believe me, all of these questions have to do with that right here. So what we want to know is, not are people afraid, because we're all afraid, but what does the DNC specifically have, solid, actionable items, so that we can combat election subversion?
Well, every state runs their election differently. I think we know that. And I think we're going to have to do some re-education with voters, because we know now with the Postal Service, you drop your piece of mail off at 3 o'clock thinking it's going to be stamped for that day, and it can sit there for days and days. We all know why they did it, because they don't want absentee ballots to be counted. So we are going to have to do some re-education in each county of the importance of not holding on to that ballot, to get it in one of the drop boxes early. Other things that we have done is collected them, like have a neighborhood sometimes will have a ballot party, and they'll fill it out, and then someone can sign the back of it that says that I'm dropping off the ballot. I feel better when I drive to Santa Ana and put it in the drop box there. But I know Laguna Woods does a really good job of making sure that they vote. So yes, we all are afraid, but I think. How many of you watch Rachel Maddow? Love her. And so last month she was talking about something, it was after the second No Kings rally, the 3.5% rule. And that is, if 11.5 million people go out at once and protest against this regime, it makes it harder for them to succeed. And I think we're already seeing that. I didn't hear any of the news today about the walkouts and so forth. We also have a protest coming up at the end of the month. But these are the things that we can do. When they see look across the country, what they did in Portland and what they've done, what we did in LA, in Chicago with the whistles, brilliant. And how people who have never, ever protested are out there in Minnesota in 8-degree weather, protecting their neighbors. So I always say there's more of us than them, and we just have to show them.
Okay, all right, you mentioned the messaging task force, a bunch of questions about messaging. So I've heard that Democrats are saying we feel really good, we're going to win the House, and we're going to impeach Trump, and because you can't have democracy without accountability. Do you think that's the right message, talking about impeaching Trump? Will that supersede the messages about affordability and kitchen table issues?
I think all of you were very frustrated with the Attorney General we had under Biden. He moved too slow. I mean, that's my feeling anyway, because I think if we had moved faster on that, we wouldn't have the 2.0 that we have now. So, what we are doing with the we met for the first time in December. So it was more of an acquaintance, get to know one another, and we will be making recommendations to the DNC. We're not going to dictate. We're going to make and then the two co-chairs. I found this most fascinating. Malcolm Kenyatta and a woman by the name of Teresa Cardona have a lot of experience in messaging, and that's why they were picked for that, to make sure we're doing it the most effective way. And we'll also be working with the technology because it goes hand in hand. We've talked about, how many of you ever listen to podcasts, right? They become very popular. Well, they can be a sounding tool for us in the Democratic Party as they spread out the message. So it's finding the best way to have the message here and making sure it's getting down to the local levels, especially the club levels, and that people feel like we're fighting and doing something. I can tell you we are. We are working as hard as we can, along with the DSCC and the DCCC.
After seeing what's happening in Minneapolis, is it safe to protest? Good question.
Well, my kids always have a joke when I'm going to a protest or even a meeting. Mom, don't get arrested. And I used to kind of laugh about it. Oh, come on, what do you think we do at these meetings? And now, nothing is going to stop me from protesting. I have 2 grandkids, and I want them to have the same kind of life that I had and the rest of you had. To be able to go out and play in your neighborhood, to love who you want to love, to just be whatever kind of person that you truly want to be. And I do think it's safe because, again, there's still more of us than them. And I do believe there's going to be a moment where this insanity is going to end. Anyways, what I pray for every single day. I'm sorry I'm getting a little emotional because it is scary. It is frightening. Every day to wake up and go, what the heck did he do today? I'll ask my husband, did he blow up any country today? And it's not a joke anymore because he's actually doing things like that. And the Republicans are letting him. That's most disturbing. I'm in in Young Kim's congressional district. I love to call her office and I'll tell them, please take notes. I have a lot to say. And I'll go through and I will name everything. And then remember when Trump, there was like those 30 countries, he didn't want to have anything to do with and all that. So I called up and spoke to a staffer and said, I'm going to read you a poem. And it was the poem, I didn't say anything when they came for the socialists and so forth. And I ended it with it. Is she going to say anything when they come for the Koreans? Because she is a Korean American. So I find clever ways to say things. I'm always respectful. Maybe my voice will raise a little bit, but that's what I can do. And on Facebook, Young Kim and Ken Calvert somehow got on my feed. Oh, do I have fun. And so do about 80% of the other people that I read. So there's a lot we can do. I'm not going to stop protesting. Not going to happen.
As long as we protest safely.
Absolutely. And
Non-violent.
there's actually trainings on that, which we had last year. I believe Orange County's going to have another one. Yes, you never touch anybody. You just you go about your business, and that's pretty much what they're doing in Minnesota. It's heartbreaking. I heard someone speak the other day about Minnesota. She says it's worse than the news is covering, but they're not stopping, and that's a good thing.
All right. Okay, here's another one. How do I speak to a neighbor who told me that Trump is the best president we ever had?
Yeah, I get that one. What I do with people like that is I say, so you're okay with him cutting Medicaid for babies? You're okay with that? Really? Are you okay with them protecting pedophiles throughout this country? Are you okay with people hungry and not have enough food to eat? So I counter it with real things and say, and sometimes they'll just kind of walk away, or sometimes they stop and they'll think for a moment. I don't encounter a lot of Republicans because I don't like them in my space, because I find them so vile. And that the fact that they, as a Christian, I'm Christian, but they're not acting Christian. And it really, really bothers me when I see this hypocrisy. So yes, I have no problem talking to a Republican.
Sue just handed me something. I think it's important. Following on the question about getting rid of Chuck Schumer. Yesterday, we had a pre-endorsement meeting, and Dave Min was there. And there was a question about Schumer. And what he said was that Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are really not supposed to be firebrands. They're supposed to represent the entire caucus, which has a wide array of points of view. Dave also said he's hoping the candidates for president in 28 will start speaking out, and they're actually going to be the firebrands. So thank you, Sue, for that. Okay. All right. Here's a question for you. What does Ken and the DNC have as a plan to bring everybody together? Because there appears to be some fracturing in the Democratic Party. I want to call out Adam Gray, for example, in 13, where he has also said he was going to vote for ICE funding. He's a Democrat. There are other Democrats apparently that are going to be, or say they're going to vote for the ICE funding and other things that appear to be counter to what most Democrats want. What's the plan from the DNC?
Well, as Dave Min said yesterday, there is different fractions in the Democratic Party. I tend to move more to the left. Some are in the middle. Some are a little more conservative. So again, that's going to have to do. That's not the DNC's responsibility. It's the DCCC. It's the DCCC that needs to have these conversations with members of Congress, and the DSCC needs to have with anybody in the Senate. But what will help is once we get our messaging and our technology working together to get information out, I think that that will help us tremendously this year and in 2028.
Okay, I got a twofer for you. What are the prospects for vote by mail in the midterms? And why aren't the Dems standing up daily to refute the hourly lies spewed by our president?
Yes. Okay. Oregon's been doing vote by mail for, I don't know, well over 10 years or more. They've been doing it. That's all they do. You can drop it off that day, but it's the only way to vote. How many of you vote by mail? And Republicans like to vote like that too, believe it or not. So we are lucky here in California. Our Attorney General and our governor will not allow anyone to tamper with that. It doesn't mean that we won't have struggles, and that's where the lawsuits come in. And we have been very successful with the different lawsuits. And what was the second part of the question? Oh, I'm sorry.
Why aren't the Dems standing up to all the lies?
Oh, well, we are. I love Robert Garcia, right? Yeah. Is he a champion? Here is an openly gay man fighting for women who have been raped. And the rest of the Republicans are not doing anything about it. So we are standing up. I'm also going to put a link. We have weekly, what do we call those? Blueprints, where we have things that happened this week, where we list 4 different things that have happened the week in throughout the country. And I'll make sure you get more of that information so you can actually read it. Unfortunately, the news media doesn't always cover all this stuff, and which is kind of sad, but I'll make sure that you get access to that so you can see we are working and we are standing up for our democracy.
What is the DNC thinking about the risk of the Mad King not leaving office at the end of his term? And is the DNC thinking about impeaching Trump in his second term?
Yeah, the emperor with no clothes. Okay. Well, the DNC can impeach. The only one that can impeach is members of Congress. And as we know, this is something that drove me crazy. The first impeachment, Republicans had an opportunity to get rid of him, and they didn't. Then we did it again, and they didn't. So for me, that's quite disturbing. I have mixed feelings on the impeaching part. I think once Trump is gone and all these people, remember the Nuremberg trials? Let's have them for the people that are doing this to our citizens. Kristi Noem, you name it, all of them. They're horrible, horrible people. And yeah, I guess that will be it.
Okay, I think we'll have one more here. Many Democratic voters are alarmed that ICE continues to operate with broad discretion, and party leadership has remained largely silent. What concrete steps can the DNC take to ensure that any federal agencies are held accountable for civil rights violations? And how will the party elevate leaders who are willing to confront these abuses?
Democratic leadership is standing up. Look what the mayor of Minneapolis said the other day. He said, get the F out of Minneapolis. And so even, I think it was yesterday or today, a local police captain talked about that even his own members of sheriff and off-duty men of color are being pulled over by ICE. It's insanity. It's all because of these different quotas. We are doing everything that we can possible. Again, that's another thing. When I call Young Kim's office, I said, why are you allowing masked men to invade our streets? Of course, I've never received one answer from her. It's just platitude of some stupid thing that she believes. But they are speaking out. And I think for me, we want this to go away as quickly as possible, right? We've had enough. But it took us a while to get here. And yes, we have made mistakes. But I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to stop wishing for the country I remember and want to improve. At the end of the Pledge of Allegiance, I always say, someday too, when we're talking about equality. We do have a lot of work to do in this country with equality. But moving forward, I know if we work together, we can each make a difference. And that's what I wake up thinking every day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deborah. Thank you.